Say your name for me, spell it, give me your title so we can get a mic level.
Sure, Mark Anderson, M-A-R-C, Anderson, A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N, President and CEO of Visit San Antonio.
Mark, I know one of the reasons you came here, and one of the the draws to picking you is that you have this sort of global experience in helping international relationships and things like that. Why is it important for San Antonio to lure international travelers and tourists from other countries?
It's really just an economic question. The international traveler spends a longer time in your city in San Antonio, and they spend more money. So we currently, out of the UK population, generate around 20,000, 23,000 pre-pandemic. That was generating about $40 million in economic impact for our city. And it only makes sense now is the best time post-pandemic to open our first ever office in the United Kingdom.
Traditionally, I know that most of the visitors to San Antonio came from within Texas. Is that correct?
That's true.
I know that that's important and it's good to have, but you just said it. I mean, I'm sure they're not spending.
Yeah, and they will continue to be important, our Texans and our surrounding states, as well as our friends from Mexico and our friends from Canada. But Visit San Antonio has never had an international office overseas, so this will be the first time. And as we build ourselves into a global brand, there's no better time as we end this pandemic than to open our first office overseas.
Why London? And it's not a negative question, but why not, Frankfurt or Copenhagen or Amsterdam? Why London?
Sure, it's really about the numbers. So our largest international overseas, besides Mexico and Canada, was the United Kingdom, followed by some other countries throughout Europe. So we're starting in the United Kingdom, but we will also be focused on Germany, talking to that German population about the synergies between San Antonio and Germany, and obviously our German history in this city. So that's part of the plan as well.
So it's almost like a hub of sorts, where
exactly.
You're based there, but it doesn't prevent you from.
Yeah, our focus really is the UK and Germany at the offset, but the plan is, to open offices hopefully in China next year, depending on the visa issue, and then South America in the coming years as well.
I know that London in particular is certainly it's an important part of that plan. What are your workers who staff this office? What's their day-to-day like? How are they recruiting tourists, and what does that actually look like?
So they're talking to tour operators that are planning tours in the United States and in San Antonio. They're talking to travel agents that are booking travel, as well as we have a media representation too. So they're talking to journalists throughout the United Kingdom and Germany, telling stories on the real and true San Antonio and why that UK traveler or that European traveler should take the trip to our city. And one of the things that was most alluring to me as my family and I moved here last year was really the stories of San Antonio, our history, our culture, our diversity. We're standing here today in Travis Park, where we're launching a major food festival with Culinaria and the James Beard Foundation called Tasting Texas that starts today on Friday. And again, that culinary scene is something that European travelers and that international travelers is looking for. And we need to tell the story of San Antonio, not only domestically, but also globally.
So it's not just the efforts in London to try and recruit UK tourists, but there's also an active strategy here, including events like this one.
Absolutely.
Create more reason for them to come? Is that the idea?
Yeah, this is all part of our storytelling campaign that we started last year. And storytelling is really now the pillar of our company, our branding, and our global brand that we're building. We have so many different stories, and again, whether it's the culture of our city, the history of our city, our culinary scene, the icons of the city like the San Antonio Spurs, our Riverwalk, the Alamo that's going through obviously a $400 million transformation. We have to get those stories out to not only the audiences that love San Antonio and have been in San Antonio for a long time, but also that new traveler, so that we can make a difference for our economy and our stakeholders.
How many people do you anticipate will staff this office?
Like most convention and visitors bureaus and DMOs, we work with a consultant. So there'll be 5 people that are in our consultant-based firm that will start on November 1st.
So would you have a physical location there, a legit office?
No, there won't be actually a Visit San Antonio office, but the company that we're working with has offices in the United Kingdom.
The other angle to this is there seems to be sort of a full court press right now to try and lure more international flights, not just for tourism, but for business leaders. How can Visit San Antonio play a role in that, and does this endeavor maybe help strengthen the argument to get new airlines from overseas?
Sure. I mean, we're telling that story through the San Antonio International Airport and the coalition we formed with Greater SATX. So we are actively pursuing international carriers to have nonstop direct flights to and from San Antonio. It's really important as we increase demand, but it's also equally as important as we build a global brand. So you can be rest assured we're doing our job for everyone in San Antonio to get those nonstop international flights to and from our city.
That's been such a goal for so long, especially within the business community, as we saw that a decade ago. A huge complaint that some business leaders had is we can't get these flights. So how important is a thriving, well-traveled airport to your mission?
It's so important, but so is the growth of our city from a branding perspective as we tell the San Antonio story. And I really look at when you have a healthy city that is thriving with companies and corporation, it leads to a great leisure destination and vice versa. So I look at this as a holistic 360 approach. Not only are we trying to grow our global brand from a leisure perspective and for meetings and conventions and travelers, but also those corporations that we're hoping to lure to our city as well.
I think this is my last question, and so often we compare San Antonio to other tourist destinations in Texas and especially Austin. So I'm curious how this strategy maybe compares to what other cities like Houston, Dallas, Austin are trying, and how San Antonio can set itself apart.
Sure. Again, it comes down to our stories and the attractions in this city. There's not a more historic, authentic, real and true city in Texas than there is in San Antonio. So we don't even compare ourselves really to other cities because we feel like we stand so separate and far apart. But again, no other city in this state can claim the stories that we have, claim the history that we have, the authenticity, and our new brand that we're building is called Real and True, and it's really about those real connections and true stories of San Antonio.
This should be my last question. Is there a goal here to secure, for example, direct flights from San Antonio to London or to some of these cities in Germany that you're interested in?
Absolutely. So we are actively pursuing with the San Antonio International Airport and Greater SATX to make that happen in the future.
And your contractors in London, I'm sure, will play a sort of a marketing role in that process?
They will be a great influencer for us as they have relationships with these international airlines. So we're hoping that they open even more doors than the people that we're currently talking to.